Hi guys, this is Stephanie here. I wanted to show you something fun that I just got in the mail. We are coming out with some cute little kits for you guys. So I'm excited to show you this new one here. This is the Creative Kickstart Fresh Start and Feels Like Sunshine with a cute little rainbow. And this one is every day is a fresh start with all the flowers. And with the kit, you get these fun little rainbow, I don't know if you guys can see that with the light shining, sorry about that. But you get the rainbow wood pieces as well as the flowers and the leaves. So I'll turn this around so you guys can see that. Can you see the wood? But anyway, today what I'm going to do is I am just going to do the Fresh Start one here, and I am going to use one of our surfaces, and this is the double-sided box frame. It's a 9x9 size, and you can do it on both sides. So you can either do the white side that's been painted here, or you can do the side that is has not been painted, or you can paint it yourself or stain it or whatever you want to do. But today I'm just going to use the brown side when I do this transfer. And I was going to add, after I chalk this, I'm going to add the flowers and the leaves on top of it as well. Okay, so again, like my rule is I always like to write on the back of my transfer, so I remember how to put it back. I'm talking and writing what I'm saying instead of doing this other part. So I'm actually going to go ahead and cut this, because when I put this on my frame here, I'm not going to use these extra little flowers that we have. So you can see the extra little flowers on here. So let me write this back on here, the Fresh Start. That way I know how to put this back on my paper when I'm done. So, and then I'm gonna just fuzz this here real quick. And once I do that, then I'm gonna center it onto my, my frame here. But again, because we're using wood, I recommend that you use some surface wax, okay? We do have some in our back office, in our, on my website, so you guys can go ahead and pick some up. I usually get a few of them as I go because it does tend to sell out pretty quickly. But so I'm just going to add just a very thin layer of wax onto my wood, and that just helps to protect the transfer. Okay. But you don't want to put it on too thick, so just a little bit is going to go a long way. What that does is it kind of covers the grain of the wood. So and then it also helps the transfer not to stick as hard onto the surface, so you don't ruin it, because since these are reusable transfers, you want to be able to reuse these over and over again. As long as you take care of them, you shouldn't have a problem with that at all. So so here we go. I put this on here for you so you guys can see that. I'll actually do it upside down so you guys can see it better. But I usually try to squish all the transfer out and make sure that there's no air bubbles. I usually like to trace the letters just to make sure that everything's pressed down really nicely, so that way none of the paste escapes and kind of bubbles out. So you just want to make sure that everything feels nice and smooth. So today I'm going to be using the bright white for the letters. I'm going to use sage, which is a real pretty green. It's not a very dark green. I'll show it to you in just a second, but it is a very nice light green here, light color. And then I'm going to use the guava, which it's not pink, but it's not orange, so it's kind of in the middle. It's just a really nice subtle little splash of color that we're gonna do. And so I'm gonna do the little tiny flowers in the guava color, and then the leaves, of course, I'm gonna do in the sage. And then the bright white I'm gonna do for the letters and then the big flowers, because when I'm done and this all dries, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take this out here. I'm gonna put these pretty little flowers on here. So they'll be kind of like sitting like this on the frame once we're done. Can you see that? And then this kit also comes with some leaves. So what I'll do is I'll probably just put the leaves right here, and then we'll put this flower in there. There we go. And then that's how I will put everything together once it's all done. Okay, you see how that's gonna kind of go down there. So I think by putting a little bit of the white color behind the flower, it's gonna kind of help cover up some of these little areas here. So that way when we're done, it'll all be connected this way. They do give us little stickies to stick the flowers and the leaves on, or if you wanted to, you can also use a glue gun. Whichever works better for you is how you would want to do it. Okay, so first off, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and start with the leaves, and I'm just going to take a little bit of chalk paste with my multi-tool here, and I'm just gonna go ahead and start doing my project. And basically what you want to do is squeegee on the chalk paste. You just want to make sure that all your surfaces are nicely covered, and then you just want to go over to the next part and just keep on going. And then what we'll do is I'll go back and I'll squeegee the extra paste off, because all that extra paste that's kind of sitting there on top, we can scrape off. And what we can do is put that right back into our jar, so that way we can reuse it and we can use it on our next project. Okay, so I'm just squeegeeing off those that extra paste that I have here. There we go. That's beautiful. Look how pretty that is. So that's so far, we got those little leaves done. Now let's go ahead and let's go down here. And again, I'm just going to squeegee my leaves with my little multi-tool. I love this little tool because it's straight and flat on one side, and on the other side it has this little curve here, and that is really nice. So when you are in need of just going in and taking care of your paste jars, because you know, after a while, you know, these paste jars are chalk and water, and most of you probably know that the water will separate from your chalk paste. So every once in a while you got to give it a good stir just to kind of mix everything up and just kind of make it back into that creamy, dreamy state. So that way your chalk will stay nice, and it'll be a super lot easier to apply your paste to your future projects. As long as you're, you know, keeping up with it and taking care of it, everything should be good. Okay, so I'm just about done with the green part here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna go ahead and lift up my areas here that I just chalked. So that way you guys can see the green. So that way the chalk doesn't stick to my silk screen. Because if it sticks to your silk screen, you see that? Then what ends up happening is the chalk will stick to the silk screen. So when you pull the transfer back later on, all of your chalk's gonna come up. So one thing I did forget is I forgot to grab my my little dryer, but that's okay. We'll just keep on going. So I just kind of want to go back and just press down the areas that I'm going to chalk next, since I pulled it up, okay? And I'm going to use the guava paste now, and right now I'm using my detail tool. These are a little bit smaller, and I don't want to go too crazy with the paste and then get paste all over and kind of bleed over into my leaves here. Okay. So I'm just going to put that on there like that. Look how pretty this color is. I just love it. It's just such a pretty color. And once you pull that transfer back, it's like, oh man, it's just so pretty. Pretty, pretty, pretty. Okay, and then let's do these little flowers up here. Great. All right. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back here. I'm just going to squeegee off that extra paste. There we go. Excellent. This is so pretty. I'm so excited to see what it's going to look like when we're all done. But as you can see, I mean, you don't have to be crafty to be able to do this kind of project. You just got to know what you're doing and go for it. So again, I'm going to just peel this up and show you what it looks like underneath. Can you see that? Isn't that pretty? Okay, just going to gently lay that back down. And then down here, I'm just going to make sure that these are pressed down really nice. And we're going to do the same thing. Just going to go ahead and there's a little dot there and a little dot there. A little flower and a little dot there. But you just have to be you have to work a little quickly with it, but not too fast. This new paste, it dries a little bit slower than the original paste that we had. So your working time has been increased. So you're not going to be putting this on and then your paste is already drying before you even get it all covered. So definitely a huge game changer then if you've used the paste in the past and thought, ugh, this is not working. Totally agree. It wasn't pretty. It wasn't nice. I ended up having to redo a lot of stuff. So this paste here they call it the creamy dreamy paste, and man, it just has made life so much easier when it's come to trying to get our projects done here. All right, so we put this down here, and then I'm gonna pull this side up very slowly just to make sure that I got everything. Okay, so I'm gonna see if one of my family members can grab me a dryer over on the other table, because the green part here is drying on my silk screen, so it's coming up a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and lift these up and see if I can fix that just really quickly before it all dries. And thank you, honey. Let me plug this in here real quick and dry this, and then I'm gonna go back and touch up the other part here. Now when you're using a dryer, you just want to make sure that you're pointing the dryer away from you. You don't want to point it towards your transfer, because your transfer can melt, and that would not be a good thing. So this one here is a really powerful heat embosser, so it's going to dry my chalk super fast, but it can damage the transfer. So you just have to make sure that you're pointing the transfer away from the green part, so that way the transfer doesn't melt. Because if it melts and distorts like that, it's not going to be good to reuse. So because when you go to lay it down flat again, it's just not going to work, because it's gonna be all distorted, and so it won't be able to lay down flat to get a good chalking. So I've learned that from experience. So I've ruined some transfers, so it happens. It's just one way on, you know, how we learn how to do different things. So it's not too big of a deal, but we definitely want to make sure that we take care of our transfers, because, you know, we pay money for them and we want to be able to reuse them like we're supposed to. So so yeah, I should have had my dryer out and I should have dried in between, because then that would have saved me a little bit of trouble here. So let me go ahead and dry this really fast. Okay, and then I'm going to lay this back down, and I want to, let me see, I want to touch up some of my little flowers here, because I can see some lines in the flowers, and I don't like that personally. That's just me though. So I'm just gonna fix it real quick. So one thing nice about the transfers, if you have a spot that you wanna fix before you take the transfer off, I would say go for it. This one may not work. So it looks like when I laid the transfer down, I put a little bit of green on my flower here. So we'll see how that turns out. So yeah, I definitely like that a lot better. Let me just retouch this one up here. I want it to kind of be a little bit brighter. So I'm just adding another little layer on top. This is turning out really pretty. Okay, let me go back and check this one. That looks great. Let me touch up this little flower right here. So that way it kind of shows up on that darker background. Yep, that looks great. Dry it. Only takes a few seconds to dry. Now, if you're using a shimmer paste, it's going to be take a little bit longer to dry because of the glitter inside of the chalk paste. So just take your time, and the way to check it is just take your finger and just lightly touch it and see if you get any of the chalk on your finger, and then you know you're good to go. You also want to make sure that the surface underneath is not real hot before you lay that transfer back down, because that is another way that you can distort the transfer, because if the surface is hot, then the transfer can still melt underneath. So you just as a reminder, I see when I just lay that down, there's some little crumb of chalk there. So I want to make sure that everything's nice and clean. And again, I want to just press down where I'm going to be chalking next, okay? So that way when I do the white right now, it's going to come out really nicely, okay? Let me do the flower real fast here on the bottom. And then I'm gonna go back and we'll do all the wording too. And then we'll be done. So as you can see, you can turn these into some beautiful creations. You can use your own colors. You can pick colors that go with your own home, or if you're doing something for a friend or a family member as a gift, you can make it in the colors that work good for their home decor. So that's something that I really like, is that you have the options, and we have so many beautiful colors that we have to choose from. I mean, sometimes it's really hard actually to choose the different colors that we use, because we have so many good ones to choose from. And I know I have my favorites, but I try to use different colors all the time. So that way everybody can see what beautiful colors that we do have. So when you use them at home, you'll be able to get the right colors that you like. So again, today we're using the sage for the green, and we're using the guava for the pretty little flowers. And right now I'm putting the bright white on this transfer for the big white flowers. This is where the ones that I glue on in just a minute will stick to. There we go. So let me dry this. That way it won't look so dark underneath the flowers when I do this. So let me dry this one real quick, and then I'll lift the other one up and we'll dry that. Now when you first put the chalk paste on, you'll notice that the chalk is white, kind of shiny, but as it dries, it turns into a matte finish. So, so that's another way you can tell that your chalk paste is dry, is when it's got that matte finish and it's no longer shiny. Okay, so let me go ahead and I'm gonna put this here because I know that's hot, but I want to take this part off over here real quick because I don't want that to dry. So there we go. Get that on there. Again, this doesn't have to be perfect because this is all going to be hidden underneath my my little flowers that I'm going to do here next. So let me dry this here. Okay, can you guys see that, how it's looking right now? So pretty nice. Let me let that dry here for a second. And then when you're ready to put the next one, if it comes off, it's totally fine. Don't freak out. Just lay it back down. Just kind of line it back up. And you'll be ready to go with the words. Perfect. All right, so now let's press those words down. And then let's go ahead and let's give it some chalk paste. We're just gonna kind of push some of this paste all over, get it all ready. And then let's go ahead and put this on. You can see how nice and smooth and even it's going on. Just that fast. So there we go. I'll grab a little bit more. Perfect. Again, you want to put a good amount of chalk on here, so that way when you are putting it all, smoothing it all over, you're making sure that you cover all of the areas of the silkscreen. So as long as the silkscreen areas are all nice and clean, then you will have a really good solid chalking. So let me take all this extra off. Put that back in my jar. Very good. All right, now let's go ahead and take this up. If you see a little spot that you might have been a little shy on, go ahead and lay that transfer back down and finish it up while you still have it there. I think that turned out perfect. I'm gonna just lay this back down on my little paper here on the backer sheet. And here we go. Close those up, and then here we go. We're all done with this. Isn't that pretty? So let me dry it real good. I think that turned out so pretty. Wow. I love that guava color on the dark wood here. I think that turned out super nice. Now when you're using your dryer, you don't want to hold it in one spot for too long. You want to keep the air moving, because we found out the hard way, some of you probably heard my story, that we found out the hard way when my daughter had chalked a welcome sign, and she was holding it and talking to me, and it was really close, and the chalk started to boil, started to bubble. So we don't want you to do that, definitely. Okay. So, so now we have these pretty little flowers that we can just kind of stick on there, and with the pretty leaves. So we can kind of lay them however you want. Probably kind of stick them in there about like that. Gosh, that is so pretty. And then you can see how that's gonna look once we're all done. Okay, so I will finish putting these on here, and then I will take some pictures and I will post that for you guys. Okay, well, thanks for joining me, and I will see you all soon. Okay, all right, you guys have a great day. Bye-bye.